We continue with our build-up to the State of the Nation address. We now shift our focus to the economic outlook and what would then be expected to form part of the President's address that would speak directly to the issues around the economy. Joining us to unpack the economic outlook is SABC News specialist researcher Velemseni Mthiyane. Velemseni, good evening. Thank you very much, as always, for joining us on the program.
Well, good evening to you, Mfundo.
No, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Let's start with unemployment. Whenever we're going to be looking at the economic outlook, it's also important to start with the number of those employed and unemployed, because this is a serious crisis. When we look at the figures of South Africa's unemployment, it's untenable. And when one seeks to plan around the growth, you want to project the economic growth, you want to project it based or informed by those that are currently unemployed that must be taken into the job market. Just talk to us about the unemployment figures right now.
Well, we do know that in the past administrations, including the current one, the triple challenge of South Africa of unemployment, poverty and inequality has always been a challenge. And we do believe that the President will not finish his State of the Nation address without elaborating more on the type of interventions that government is putting to ensure that these triple challenges are addressed. But the key to that is the one that we have just mentioned, the one of unemployment. South Africa has been having this problem of unemployment for far too long. We'll recall that when President Cyril Ramaphosa took office in 2018 and 2 consecutive years, I think it's 2018 and 19, he had what he called job summits, where he had predictions of at least 1 million jobs to be created in the next 2 to 3 years. But those promises have not really materialized, because the structure of our economy is not the one that just produces jobs. So we are currently sitting officially, as of the third quarter of 2024, we're sitting at 32.1%. But what is important on that is that the majority of the citizens of this country, which are blacks, are the ones that are mostly affected. On average, it's 36.1% black Africans who are not finding jobs, who are unemployed. This is above the national average of 32.1. But worse than that is that black women in particular are the ones that are worse off in all these statistics, because they are sitting at 38.6% unemployment, which is far above the national average of 32.1. So we need solid interventions that the President must mention. Let me just move further and say, even if you look into the structure of our economy, so it's not producing jobs, right? But the government must then come up with public employment programs. Currently, we have got 3, which is the expanded public works program, and we
APWP.
Yes, and we also got community works program, as well as the presidential employment stimulus. If you look at all of these 3 public employment programs, you would see that one is under threat, which is community work program, because the Minister of Kokta has said about
those above 55.
Yes, about 225,000 of those people throughout the 9 provinces. Imagine that if this program is not, if the President is not making any announcement on these public employment programs, so it means even on the government side, their efforts to cap this high level of unemployment, it's not happening. So it means that government, and we expect the President to emphasize what more needs to be done, what more they have up their sleeves to deal with the issue of unemployment in the country. Most people have been saying it is a ticking time bomb, and if you look at the high levels of crime, and this may plunge the country into instability if no proper measures are made to ensure that everyone is cushioned.
Now, given this reality, then we come to the cushioning, which is the basic income grant that many have been speaking about. Even most of those on the left that are left-leaning in politics would say that you need to have some sort of a basic income grant. It would even stimulate growth itself, because there'd be many, it would create some sort of demand in the economy. So many people would have the purchasing or buying power. But this is a conversation that has been had for just ahead of several SONAs, but it has not materialized to this moment. What is there is the SRD grant, which seems to consistently now be renewed. We don't know what will be the statement around the SRD grant. But when we look at the basic income grant right now, when we look at the unemployment statistics, one would assume that it would be quite important to probably introduce it at this point now to cushion the citizens.
Well, the President is also pressed against the rock and the tough place, because what he has to navigate is to firstly make an announcement announcement is he extending again the issue of the SRD grants, because we understand that it has been a source of livelihood to many South Africans who are unemployed. Now, if we are to say in terms of the basic income grant, this has been long coming. Back in 2002, there was a report which was compiled and done, and it did recommend that there should be a basic income grant, but government subsequently has failed to implement the basic income grant, hoping perhaps that the GDP will grow and then the economy will produce jobs. But even those jobs that have been produced, they have not been meeting the growth of the labor force. Our labor force is growing at a higher rate than the economy is actually able to absorb. So now, when it comes to basic income grant, other countries have been doing it successfully. A country like Brazil, they've been doing it successfully. So South Africa, with high levels of inequality, as I mentioned, the triple challenge, they should be now considering implementing the basic income grant, despite the fiscus not looking so good, because if we can talk about what they pay as a debt service cost, it's about 382 billion, which is a lot of money.
And they want to increase it, because we heard, at least when Treasury spoke last year, that the main focus now would be this massive infrastructure build, but also they'd be looking to service the debt of the country a bit more.
Sure. Now, if you look into that, then we're going back to basic income grant. So we are saying that the government is also having to balance here. They are indebted. At the same time, they need to ensure that they meet the demands of those who are not finding employment, who are not finding opportunities, and therefore those people, they need to be cushioned. So I think it's high time. And if we're to mention it into that, it's about 7 million South Africans who are about eligible for this basic, should I say, SRD grant. And if that could be converted into at least the basic income grant, even if it remains the same at 370 and adjusted according to inflation, it will make some difference, because it will guarantee that even when you are unemployed, but there is a sort of income that you can use to do job applications, to start some small business. Some people have been starting business successfully around their communities with this 370 SRD grant per month. Hopefully, we expect the president to extend it, and if things are good, even the basic income grant to be announced as that it has arrived.
All right, Veli, thank you very much for your insights this evening. That is SABC News specialist researcher Velemseni speaking to us there.